questions away, the same President Buhari required Chief Falai to raise funds for him, and actually raised funds of about 25 million, and they gave to Buhari, even though they were not in the same party. So the more questions can bring things out. We know about the credibility of the party because of the party manifesto, because of the position of the party, and talking about my own grassroots connection. You also need to understand that by the time I joined,
thank you so much.
The party.
Thank you so much. Your time on this is up. But let's quickly move to the issues of economy now. We've moved past the issues of past records and backgrounds. Let's move into the issues of economy. We are in recession in Nigeria, and the recent result on inflation and nothing good in Nigeria. We do know that Ondo State has enormous agro-economy under the ground, but a lot of people believe that those are not tapped into. If you're elected as the governor of Ondo State in the first 3 months, what would you do?
Well, I will not subject myself to people who talk about first 3 months. We actually have plans for the first 50 days, for the first 100 days, 150 days, and so on. I really must try to emphasize that we have to shift our ground from how we used to do things. If we don't do this, we will say the same things as we said before, and we'll end up in the same way. First, the kind of program we have, which is called ECA, I've taken ECA after excess crude allocation, knowing fully well that that is completely dead. It's called economic-centered agenda, and it's in 3 parts. Ondo State is a worker state. There's poverty in the land, there's hunger in the land. So the first thing, you want to stem the tide of this. So before our people start to derail without knowing the difference between good and bad. So the first thing is on the debt management. Second is what we call boosting the local economy from within using private sector participation. And the one that we require here is a government that is a manager of policies, and a government and governor that has integrity to attract foreign direct investment.
All right. I would like to quickly ask you, do you have an idea of the income that comes into this state?
At the state?
Yes.
Yes. It used to be sometimes 2 to 3 billion per month. Then this last July, it was
from the federal allocation?
Pardon?
That's from federal allocation.
Federal allocation. And
what about IGR?
It's about 10% of that. Then again, let me tell you about this shift we are talking about. IGR does not make any functioning effect at the moment because most of the IGR comes from taxes for which people have been paid salary. So we need to shift from IGR to SGR. We need to shift from government attempting to extort money from different people to service generating revenue. So when you don't provide service, people will willingly pay tax on them. So the IGR is about 10% of maybe the 4 or 5 billion that they take every month. But it varies. In July this year, government took about 9 billion.
Okay, because averagely, about over 500 million averagely is the internally generated revenue for Ondo State. One will wonder, compared to about 3 billion that is gotten from federal allocation, with some of the ideas that you have, you said is SGR, not the IGR. The people of Ondo State would like to know how you want to get more funds to run some of these ideas you've talked about.
There are 2 stages for this. At the beginning, you come in, you will need to take special efforts to generate funds because Ondo State people will not be willing to wait for you while you are developing the new factories, the new industries, and so on. So we will generate that initial funds from giving concessions so that people will come in and be paid concessions. Then we know that there are some people who do big-time business in Ondo State and who had not been doing what they're supposed to do. We are also trying to make sure that the economy that have been filtered away may be redressed in a way that I cannot say publicly at this time. But for the generating revenue, we are going to, for instance, decentralized power system so that we have 1 megawatt of power provided by solar, provided by wind at different local governments, so that businesses can now start going around that.
Thank you, Dr. Agunloye. Mr. Ibrahim, with all of these monies that come into Ondo State, do you think Ondo State could get more, and how do you think you would go about this if elected?
My leadership is to create wealth. The way to do that is not to show heavy reliance on federal allocation. And immediately after the swearing in, if I'm the governor of Ondo State, the first job I'm going to do is to eradicate all forms of taxes. So personal income tax will be eradicated. In a recession, you don't drive the economy with taxation. So you have to let that go completely, so that people will be happy that they are not paying any payee again. Now what you do is to create infrastructure development commission to touch on the roads, and what you have to do is to do voluntary contribution. Because we have eradicated personal income tax, we now set up what we call 10,000 naira for development of infrastructure in Ondo State that is already in a bad shape. We are 3.5 million people. Right. If you just pay 10,000 naira, multiply by just 2 million compliance, that is 20 billion naira in a year. Times 4, that is 80 billion. That is enough to develop our roads. We should be talking about innovation in revenue, not federation accounts. We are created for wealth. We are 9 states that have all surrounded with natural resources that can give us that development.
All right, Mr. Olushola, same question about how you hope to get more money for Ondo State. Are you also hoping to stop personal income tax, just like Mr. Ibrahim here?
Thank you, Shion. First and foremost is to look in-house. I believe that if we can curb some excesses to manage, because part of the burden that is weighing down the state today is servicing of debt. I will renegotiate the debt, I will reschedule them, so that the amount of money I'll be using to service debt per month will reduce. And whatever I gain from that will be plowed back into running the government. 2, I will not cancel personal income tax. I will not cancel it. It's statutory, and I'm going to follow it up. I will ensure that the mechanism for collecting our internal revenue is strengthened. I believe there are a lot of leakages going on. That is why our IGR is oscillating between 400 to maximum 800 monthly in Ondo State today. When we strengthen
I'll give a minute each to the candidates before we go on this break to talk about the issues of taxation more in-depthly. Just about a minute for that. Let me continue with you, Mr. Olushola. You're talking about taxation, and you said in 3 months people will be seeing some of the reaction to some of your programs. How do you hope to do that?
You're talking about taxation?
Yeah, I'm giving you opportunity to talk about the issue of taxation. The federal government is generating more money from taxation. Who do you go in that line to?
At a time like this, it will be inhuman for anybody to increase tax payment, but payee, one attached to remuneration, will be sustained. And I've said that we will strengthen the mechanism for its collection. I believe that if we exploit the abandoned resources of this state, after 3D, I was told that more than 2 billion was committed into it. With the devaluation of Naira today, if properly valued, we may be breaking in close to 5 billion from that company alone. This told the cassava processing. If we look into this area, it's either we consign them to private individuals and generate money from it, or we complete them through assistance from banks, and then make them going concern, which will assist us to solve the problem of unemployment, and then generate wealth for our people, and engender businesses for the community.
Okay, we will take a moment, and when we return, of course, we will allow the two candidates here to respond to that same question about revenue generation, taxation. That's next.